One of the things which Christians say about the presence of evil in the world, or theists in general, is that just as light creates shadows, the existence of good leaves evil in the spaces between the good, which are called privations. For instance, the good of the lion is at the expense of its prey, and plants compete with natural resources with each other. Some win, some lose. Even plants have this sort of evil system. And in the human world, naturally evil is more dramatic. There is things like murder and devastating wars and child abuse and even simply bad meals. That leaves the sort of question that if there is no such thing as Satan and his forces of evil anymore, there's no such thing as sin. What happens to these shadows? What happens to these privations? Do they still exist? If they didn't exist, that would seem to undermine the whole argument. But if they do exist, how do they exist? Samantha, baby. I see the answer to this as lying within the cosmos, in which there exists a certain alien darkness. A darkness that is far greater than the darkness that curses the earth, as that darkness is only privation, but this cosmic darkness has a sort of reality of its own. And during the days of creation, God was already incorporating this cosmic darkness into his world, because indeed there's a certain necessity to this darkness. Unlike God, humans and other things like plants and animals have limitations. They compete with each other, and competition is a good thing. And so, the evil that arises in competition and other natural interactions needs to be managed in some way. From the cosmos comes this management through very curious mysteries that cannot be directly explained. They are themselves shadowy. They can themselves not be directly seen, like the things of God can be directly seen. These shadowy things can only be seen in a slow, nuanced process, as light penetrates into these shadows to bring awareness. And all my life I have been a big fan of nuance and the gentle contemplation of mystery. Many times I got my hankles raised. I became very irritated because people were just too brash, too crudely melodramatic, I could say, because they don't settle down to take note of the certain mysteries, like the mysteries of the Justice League. I became a big fan of Zack Snyder because, holy crap, Kitty, that's a mystery. Holy shit, Kitty, you found a treasure. See, this is sort of the slow contemplation that is necessary. This is what happens. Suddenly, you have discovered something. I didn't know this book was here. I've been here for quite some time. been here for over a year, and I suddenly see this book is here. Obviously, I could have looked at this book pretty easily, but I chose not to, because this is all part of the slow process. You can't exhaust all the things to be observed. Gotta leave some things out, which could be interpreted by some as lazy or something, not paying attention enough. But no, there's a definite purpose. So anyway, I love Christopher Columbus. I think he's really cool. And this book is about one of the most incredible things I could have found in this, where I live, where I rent. Oh, I know that the people who lived here previously would have any interest in this book, but it turns out they did. The previous tenants, they were very messy. So that's kind of actually lazy and stuff. And then found some literature which looks pretty Catholic. Now, I admire Christopher Columbus because he paid attention. He discovered things that not many people wanted to acknowledge, and so they vilified him. Because he was looking at the mystery of India and what was then the New World. And he was drawn to it out of his faith to put together the mysteries of these places, which to many could be interpreted as being stupid or ignorant, but in fact was not at all. Because within God's world, there are all these subtle details, all these mysterious things which point towards spiritual things. Privations are necessary for some things, like making the discovery of this book, which themselves are a piece of a mystery into the things of the world, like its difficulties, its evils. Of course, this book is itself defending Christopher Columbus from his condemnations by the worldly. The mystery involves things like the Knights of Columbus, because there's a lot of people don't even know that it exists. They talk about Christopher Columbus, but they don't talk about the Knights of Columbus. They pretend like it's just something that public school made up, that Christopher Columbus is a cool guy. In my view, what Christopher Columbus did was so significant that he was rewarded with this organization, the Knights of Columbus. Now, I can't prove this, but I take it on faith. But I can look in the world, and I can see evidence of this faithful assessment that includes even finding this book, because it is a treasure for my spiritual thesis that presents certain curious facts. Hey, cutie baby. Meow, meow. Meow. Kitty, kitty. God put the darker things of the world for those certain purposes that aren't directly relevant to his own, kingdom, or his heavenly reality, I suppose I could say. Because darkness is not directly relevant to his own existence, which is simply existence. But it is very relevant to his creations, because they have traits he does not. Traits which proceed directly into the darkness. And so indeed, humans could be said to explore the darkness for God, as Presumably there's things there he is interested in. Things which he wants to find in some metaphysical unknown process, or some sort of divine curiosity. The evil of Satan and other evil beings is a sort of corruption of the darkness which God is interested in. And so they are temporary, but the concept of darkness is not. And this transcendent darkness, this eternal darkness, is something humans of our time are ignorant about, or which I am very interested in.